What up? It's a Dropping Dimes podcast. I'm your host, Mark Veer, and welcome to episode number 15 with, as you can see, many coaches on here. I reached out to Tony Crocker, and he wanted to bring on his entire crew. So thanks, the four of you, for coming on. We'll dive into some intros. I know a lot of you listened to some previous podcasts, and we're just trying to build on it, improve the city. So, Tony, let's kind of start with you, but each of you can talk to everybody about your basketball career, what you got going on, and how you got into coaching and how you're trying to help San Antonio basketball get better.
All right. Yeah, I'm Tony Crocker. I'm from San Antonio. I went to Warren High School, graduated from there, played at OU, played 12 years overseas, and now we've just been training and just started our AAU program. So we've been training for 2.5 years, me and LaRon. AAU is something that we've always had in mind, want to do. Me and Dom, being high school teammates, we planned for this a while, and it's finally here. And been knowing CJ since high school as well. We played against each other my junior and senior year here in San Antonio. That's how we met and kind of connected. And right now, we just trying to build something for the city that really helps the kids out and gives them the tools that they need to get to the next level and be successful.
I appreciate that. Great coaching staff here for sure. Dom, you next.
Yeah, Dominique Johnson. I went to Warren as well, played with Tony and LaRon, and I'm the 2029s coach for behind the scenes. Helped Tony just create a vision that we've always kind of had, like he said, since high school. Obviously, with him playing professionally, the time wasn't right, so I had helped start another organization, SABO, San Antonio Basketball Organization. But with that kind of segue and ending, it was no better time than now to start behind the scenes with Tony. And the goal and mindset is to try to bring good basketball to the city and try to help kids build and achieve goals and dreams that they've wanted and that everybody on this staff kind of has had as well.
It's LaRon Smith. I also went to Warren High School with Tony and Dom. I went to Our Lady of Lake University for 3 years, played basketball there. Me, Tony, Dom as well, kind of like sharing the same vision. I started behind the scenes with training and I'm a skills specialist on that side, looking to develop the youth from the ground up. So we started at the ages of 4. I'm just looking to help build confidence, give them the edge against their peers.
Love it. Appreciate it. And then we'll close on you, CJ.
What's up, CJ Miles? I'm from Dallas, Texas. I graduated Skyline High School 2005. I was drafted from high school to Utah Jazz. It was the last class that year. Basketball's been good to me. I mean, that's really all I can say about it, right? I had a long career. I still love it. I'm a servant of the game. And just, me and Tony, like you said, we known each other since high school. And since I've been home here in San Antonio the last couple of years, we've really been around each other a lot more, just from playing runs. We played TBT together, just being in the gym, being who we are, gym rats, and loving the game. So, and he hit me. It was just pretty much a timing thing because I was really in the midst of trying to figure out how I could do what he brought to me to ask, like just pouring back in, being in the gym and sharing what I do know about the game. So that's how we got here.
Great. I appreciate every one of you kind of doing some short intros, and I'll dive into each one of you on subjects that we talked about. It sounds like timing that kind of jumped off to me, is that the timing is right. Tony, you got done playing. CJ, you're done playing. And then LaRon's been behind the scenes for a couple of years. And then Dom was over at Sabo. It just seems like it all kind of connected and this was the right time to do it, which is really nice. And it seems like everybody's invested in this, and this is the time to kind of pour into the kids. So, Croc, I'll start with you. Let's talk a little bit about you as a player. I think a lot of people know you as playing at Oklahoma and then going overseas for a very long time. You had a long career overseas, and that's where I'm from. So I love European basketball. Talk to everybody about your life as a player, and then we'll kind of dive into where we are today and how BTS kind of came about.
Yeah, 12 years overseas, been to a lot of different places all over the world. My best experience overseas, the place I love the most is probably Turkey. Both of my younger kids were born there. Those years were better for me for basketball. Met a lot of friends, met family, people that's not, on the podcast, but helping coaching as well. One of my point guards that played with me overseas, he moved to San Antonio, because of our connection, and now he's helping out as well. Just Turkey was it was a great place. I mean, beautiful. The people was amazing. The clubs I played on there were A1, one of the best clubs I've, professionalism to the max. At Tofaş in Bursa. And also in Karşıyaka, we were really good. We had a chance to win some championships. I think we were really, really good. And that was COVID year. So that cut that short. But yeah, overseas, I mean, I've been Israel, Turkey, China, Australia, Paris, it literally Greece. I played in all these. Yeah. I played in all these plays. I've been to Russia, played in Russia, Ukraine. Like
Question for you is, so I'm from Europe. Let's talk about European basketball. We've talked about it on a previous podcast. There's a lot of European players in the NBA. The style is kind of shifting to that in the NBA, right? So does that play any role into what your staff talks about, your experiences as a player with what you guys are trying to do with the youth at BTS before I dive into how that all came about?
for sure. I think that, everybody is being at a high level. Dom is coached at a high level. LaRon's played at a high level. CJ's played at a high level. I played at a high level. So it's like we're used to things being a certain way, certain level, certain expectations. So when we doing that, it's just gonna help build and push what we're trying to do.
Okay, so let's talk about, is it okay to call it BTS? I know it says on your shirt. Is that what y'all call it?
Yeah.
Is that okay? All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, that's correct.
So how did, behind the scenes, how did it all come about? I know you're the founder, Croc, but I know you and Dom talked a little bit, but just kind of educate everybody. I know you guys are pretty new to San Antonio, but like it's been in the works for a while. Tell me how it all
Yeah.
started.
It kind of just started with me training my son. He was getting into his junior year or sophomore year, high school, and I'm just coming back from overseas finishing. And it was just started as, doing drills that I've done with my trainer for over my career. And now I'm helping him get ready for his game. And come take a little video, somebody sees it, somebody reaches out like, hey, can you work with my kid? Can you train my kid? Next thing you know, we got behind the scenes training.
Okay, so that's how it started. And then, so why did it come about? Why did you just not say, "Oh, I'm good training my son. I can train a few kids," but then it started to expand? Why did you decide to put a name on it and then start trying to build your brand?
Just a passion. Like I still had a passion for the game. Like I wanted my son to learn to get like understand the game the right way. You know what I mean? I want him to know like, hey, that's not a good shot, or we need to do this more, we need to do this less. I want to teach him the game. So with that being said, it started helping out one other kid. You see things that they're working on, like, all right, now I'm really about to dive into really trying to help you get better because that's what you want. And then, I mean, we started up. LaRon was helping me. I don't really train with the younger kids. He has a better patience than I do. So all the older kids I would train. It started like that with me and him. He just helping me, and I'm like, hey, these younger kids as they come, he has a patience for it. He take all the younger kids. We got ages 5 on up to professionals now.
Okay, love it. Here's a loaded question for you. If you know me from Europe, I don't mind having some real conversations. I know you guys don't. We have a lot of teams in San Antonio. There's a lot. And we've talked on many podcasts about having probably too many. And there's so many kids in San Antonio playing. So my question to you is, why did you decide to then start doing AAU teams? Because you started out just training, and I saw it pop up. And then I helped promote your tryouts, and it's all good. But tell me why you feel like we need another, yours included, AAU team, and what makes you maybe different than other teams in the city.
Okay. So for this question, it might be a little different coming from me, but I do think that there's too many AAU teams in the city. I do think there's a lot. But I also do think that you have to have quality over quantity. You know what I mean? So if me and Dom and CJ are coaching these kids, they're getting a little higher level coaching than maybe somebody who just started because they want to coach their son's AAU team and their friends. So it's more so of what we feel like we can do. Like we've done this. We've been helping kids. Like the connections that we have to get kids to college. I mean, I have tons of connections as far as people that I play with, people that I know personally. um, Houston coaches, for example, Coach Sampson recruited me out of high school to go to Oklahoma. He ended up going to Indiana, but his son Kellen was still at OU my freshman year, so we were teammates, which is his assistant coach now. So like those are personal relationships I have that other people can say they know, but it's different when you literally spent hours and time with certain people and being able to call and say, hey, I got a kid you might want to look at.
I'm glad you answered that way because I was going to push it that anyway. Yeah, we got a lot of AAU teams, but I don't think we have enough credible people in the city doing it and enough with resources. Lupe talked about that on the second podcast. If you have an AAU program and you don't have resources for kids, then we're not helping the kids get to that next level. And I think San Antonio, and we're touching later, has a lot of really good kids, but and we only have one right now for the 25 class that's going D1 right now. That's to me is
Yeah,
the problem, right? And we'll
yeah.
dive into that later and touch on things that I think that we can improve in the city to hopefully, get San Antonio a little more notoriety and get on the map. All right, CJ, let's go with you. All right. So again, I haven't met you. I appreciate you jumping on the
Mhm.
podcast. Obviously, everybody knows who you are. 17-year vet in the NBA. And so my first question to you is, because even my wife asked me this, is like, she saw the flyer, she's like, that's CJ Miles. Why does he want to coach AAU? That's my first question to you, right? Is what you got going on now in your career. And then obviously pouring into the kids is great, having an NBA player to do that. So first, that's my question to you is, how did this come about, and why are you now a part of the BTS staff?
The first thing, like, to open with that is, like I said, like, basketball has been good to me. Like, I mean that. Like, I say that all the time. Like, I owe basketball, like, my life. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, remember the Lupe Fiasco song, the Hip Hop Saved My Life song? Like you can literally put a basketball in that song. Like, that's what it did for me. Like, it got my parents out of their situations. It got us in a new day. It saved everything, like, all the way up. And then it gave me a place to express myself, to make myself free, to make myself known, right? It gave me a place to learn discipline. It gave me a place to become a man, right? Like, in a safe space. So that's the biggest thing for me is, like, I'm a servant to the game first. And as far as, like, the youth go, I'm a big believer in the advancement of the game and then moving forward and the quality of the game and the way they are taught. I think it's too much disrespected when it comes to the game. I think I think it's popular. People like to be seen attached to basketball because it's got a coolness to it. The guys at the top level make a lot of money. They drive a lot of cars. They live a certain lifestyle, and that's trickling down all the way through NIL, all the way through everything, right? So everything is aesthetically like, and it's a lot of guys. They want to look like hoopers. They don't want to be hoopers. Like, they don't want to put in time, hours. They don't understand the amount of hours it takes. We were talking about this before we got on. Like, kids I know that say they want certain things from basketball and trying to compare themselves to kids that eat, sleep, and drink it. Like, kids that get up at 6 and work out before school, work out during the athletic period, then come back in the evening and shoot and do whatever they need to do. And this kid telling me he wanted and being told by everybody around him that he can get it because they want him on their team. And that kid ends up being a representation of basketball for his area, right? Like, the game itself gets seen that way. Like, oh, that's their best kid. That's their best team. And they just happy they got on the latest shoes and they look like you know what I mean? They look a certain way. And they can get certain people to say this or that. But like you said, we got one kid from the city going D1. With all these teams, I don't care what shoes you get. I don't care what their uniforms look like. I don't care what their sweatsuit look like. And if he was able to do this, I want to know when we get between them lines, can he win games? Because if he can't help a team win games, it does not matter at any level.
Yeah, no, I love that. So my next question to you is, right, so all your life experiences from when you started to your AAU days, your high school days, to obviously your pro days, what are you going to bring to San Antonio that is different from a coaching perspective now?
First of all, I don't think there's anybody around here that has my experience. No offense to anybody like at my level, in my like Tony's and played long careers in other places, but at my level, and no offense to anything else, but everybody's first goal, I was there for a long time. And we find out, where we go when we get to a certain spot. But everybody's first goal, I was there and sustained it. And I've been around a lot of the greats. I sat at tables with people we call GOATs. I had conversations, and I had Larry Bird sit in the gym for a summer and watch me work out every single day. And I sat with him every day, talked to him every day. And that's what I try to tell people. It's not a lot like that I haven't experienced when it comes to basketball. I didn't win a ring, but I got everything except that. I played in every big game against every great player and in every situation, right? Like, a lot of hours put in. And that's my biggest thing is just being able to take countless hours of game time and pour it into these kids.
Oh, I love it. I've said for years that San Antonio definitely needs an NBA player, possibly to start a team or be heavily involved. They've always talked about Tony Parker building a gym, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan. I've heard it. I've been over here for 20 years and I've heard it. Jordan Clarkson coming back doing something. So when Tony told me that you're a part of this staff, I was like, finally, this is something the city needs. And I appreciate you're being honest. I mean, what you've done in your career, there's nothing like that in the city. So I'm excited that you're a part of this staff and what you bring to the table. So I appreciate you touching on CJ. All right, Dom, let's go to you. So I've known you a long time. I've known you the longest out here, us playing against each other in men's league. And then you coached my stepson at Sabo. I love what you guys did over there. I was disappointed you left over there. You and Jim were a great team, but I'm also excited for your new chapter, what you're doing over here. So you have the most experience on here from the AAU level. I think you've been at it for I don't know. You can touch on that, but it's been a while. My question to you first is, because you've been here longer, is where do you feel San Antonio basketball is today? Sorry, that's a loaded question for you. And then we'll kind of dive into your experience with AAU. But I've asked everybody, where do you feel, and you can talk from the AAU level, the high school level, wherever you like, but where do you feel we are today as a community?
Yeah. No, I feel like we're definitely moving the needle forward. But a big thing for me, because I've been coaching now, this will be going into my 13th year, is like you said earlier, there's a lot of talent. And I think the 1D1 player that is going this year kind of built that stigma to be able to stay home with a team. And we have so many kids that are great talent in San Antonio that go to different cities, play for different states. And rightfully so, right? Some of those cities have opportunities that we may not have had just yet. But that's what behind the scenes is trying to create. We're trying to create something that maybe a Houston or Dallas has, because there are great kids. Even me, like coaching the 2029s, I've always coached 17U, but now going to eighth grade, I've been going to eighth grade middle school games now, and there's talent. Like there is talent in this city at that young that, even talking to some of the parents, like, oh yeah, we're playing for a team in Houston. And I'm like, man, it's always been that stigma since the last, for me at least, 5 to 8 years, if not longer. So I think AU we're starting to catch up, but I still think we're a little behind because our best guys tend to go play for other teams in other cities. And my thing is, whether it's with behind the scenes, obviously that's the first option, but I want to figure out a way. And I think with the staff and type of acknowledgement that we have, we could start speaking to, because for me, I think it starts with the parents in the sense of what they see on social media and being able to guide the kids to the right direction. So yeah, I want to be able to try to get kids to stay homegrown to where they can say that I play for a team in San Antonio, not just a high school or middle school. You actually play for AAU team, and there's a lot of good programs. But yeah, I think we're getting there. We're not quite there yet, but I think within the next, I'm gonna say 1 to 3 years, I really think we're gonna be able to get a lot of those other programs to really like, oh man, like San Antonio could host a tournament that brings in EYBLs or shoe contract teams, and at the same time we're going to their places and we're finishing top 2, top 5 or something like that. So yeah, that's my opinion and how good AU for San Antonio is starting to get.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I got here 20 years ago, there was a few AAU teams. Everybody knows the Rohawks, and those were the days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now there's so many teams, and San Antonio is looked at differently. So I agree, everything you said. And uneducated parents are just not educated. For you talking about kids going off and probably playing for wrong teams in the city, and then possibly making those trips to Houston, Dallas, when they could stay home and save a lot of money and get the exact same product here. So I love the culture and what you guys have got going on. Talk a little bit about the Sabo days and then how that's kind of molded you today and the experience you're going to bring from there with Jim. And you guys run a really great program, very organized. I love what you guys were doing over there with the CrossFit. I think you guys were one of the first programs to kind of do that. And then how you're going to bring all that experience over to your new venture and chapter here.
Yeah. Being at Sabo for 12 years, I mean, Jim, I can go on all day about the type of mentor, friendship, almost type father figure that he is for me. It's helped me really see the basketball side, because Jim's homegrown as well from San Antonio over 40 plus years, and then helping me see the business side that a lot of people can be kind of blind to in what's going on with AAU. So the first thing first is Sabo's is ending, so it was perfect time now to bridge the gap for behind the scenes to start, because Tony never once was like, we never were like, man, let's start it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. It was always, hey, whenever Sabo ends, I'll keep doing my training. We can definitely start our vision. So Jim stepped away. Obviously he's a bit older, grandkids and family, so he wanted to segue into that lane of his life. So it was the perfect time now to start behind the scenes. And yeah, I mean, everything I learned from Sabo, I don't want to say that CJ or Tony or, the other guys from behind the scenes that are part of the program don't bring or have the knowledge of what I can bring from being in the AU world. But like you said, the way we ran it, we really tried to run Sabo like a college type level program. I mean, obviously that's what kids want to get to, being in the high school range. A lot of them said they want to play college ball. In certain tournaments, like we went to Indianapolis and we ran into Gabe Cupps' dad. Gabe Cupps had played for Strive for Greatness, and then they started their own AU program with Reed Shepard and them. And he sat down with us. We just asked him, like, hey, man, because they were the number one team in AAU that summer, probably about 2, 3 years ago. And we just pulled them to the side and just asked them, like, what are some things and ideas. And when he pitched them to us, we were still running it a certain way, but that helped us take it to another level, that teams in other cities and states, they're doing strength conditioning. It's not just AAU practice or skills training. It's, you got to be stronger. You got to be quicker. You got to think the game in the sense of even doing like film sessions and stuff like that so kids can see what they're actually doing. So it's an easy transition for me in the sense of just everything I learned and already hearing now from parents that, man, y'all are so structured. Y'all are so with it. Y'all are already, because we started with our middle school teams already. They're just blown away of what we're just doing just in this small space of just, and I like to think, like I said, Tony, CJ, guys are already so structured, but a lot of that too came from what I learned from Sabo in the sense of just how we built and created things. So yeah, man, it's an exciting time right now for the city of San Antonio.
Yeah, I appreciate you touching that and say hi to Jim. I don't bump him in the coffee shop anymore, but that's a really good dude, man. All right, LeBron, let's end on you with some stuff, and then we'll dive into some group discussion. So we talked a little earlier today, and I know you played at Outlet Lake, but I asked you if you played for Russ, right? So a lot of people know Coach Russ Van Lenningham in the city, and he is a hard coach to play for. So that's why I asked you. So talk about your college days over there. I know you put a post out there. You didn't play much early on, and then you kind of figured it out and had a great career over there. And playing for him can't be easy. Just some growing pains and how that's helped you and what you're going to bring also to with your experience to the program.
Playing with Coach V was very different, but I grew up in a very structured, hard home. So, I mean, for me, it was just solidifying that sense of urgency playing with Coach V. It was already a winning program. I got there the second year, so the first year they tied for conference champs. For me, it was also just it was humbling. Coming back into the city, my friends and family at the game and riding the bench, and it was just solidified the idea of staying ready, and just staying true to yourself because not playing can really kill you. It can kill your spirits. I tell any of these players when we train, look, I don't care what team you're on, you need to be playing, getting experience. You're not gonna get seen right now, especially in youth sports. We started them at 4 or 5 years old, so you be on teams where you're getting as much experience as possible. I got it worked out for me. Got my chance one of those games. Played about 5.5 minutes, hit 6 threes, hit the game winner to beat the number one team in the nation. And after that, he kind of started giving me more time. So earned it from there on. Junior, senior year, my numbers went up. Senior year, I was captain, averaged 19, and the rest was history. But I got a lot of learning experiences and winning ways with Coach V. I mean, had some other hard-nosed teammates as well where, I mean, it wasn't much that was going to break us. So, but college definitely, the experience, the sense of urgency, you got to show up and show out every day. It's not off night, off days, showing up to practice, tired, hurt. You learn a different level, as I'm sure they can contest, of just hurt or not. You got to show up, give 110. No one cares. But
Yeah, no, thanks for touching it too. Yeah, I know we've talked a lot about, kids' mental health these days, and I talked to a lot of kids and parents up here. They're not playing; they really struggle. So it's nice for you to just stay ready, and it's an easy concept, but kids really struggle with that today. And then when your
it's
opportunity comes, right, and then look what it did for you. You played 6 minutes, did your thing, and that kind of spearheaded the rest of your careers. Just touch a little bit on about that. I'm sure you bring that to the kids you train. You're also talking a lot about
yeah.
life lessons as well, right?
Yes, I've been fortunate and I've had a good circle. I'll be honest. My stepdad I've been around since I was about 2. So, I mean, through thick and thin, just keeping my head level. I mean, college as a player, your confidence, just like I see in these kids, they go high, go low. And just him just solidifying, man, play your game. With these kids, we do a lot of training, but also on the mentoring side of you got to show up and show out. These trainings, it's an investment. A lot of us didn't have trainers growing up. I didn't train until I was about 15. Walked in the gym, JC's gym, and saw kids where I was like, I cannot miss a day. If y'all gonna pick us up, I'll be outside 6 a.m. We drop us back off 6 p.m. because I have to catch up. And it's just that's just what I'm explaining to these kids a lot these days of you got to show up and give 110%. I mean, and we do drills and then we dress it up and then I do situational type game like simulations because like I tell them, you can't be robotic. This game is extremely mental. And if you don't believe in you, you will get crumbled. You will get crumbled. If they see it, you can see when somebody make a move. They look confident. If it doesn't, then kids start to peel in on that. And the fans, I mean, it's a lot crazier than we grew up these days. So, I mean, they don't care what age you are. You hear the fans saying this and that. But in these trainings, I'm hard on them. Expectations are high. And I think the parents do like it because they expect that at home. So to go duplicate that in a training session, it's not just, hey, we just showed up and did dribble pull up all day. We dress it up and we make it make sense from ball handling, moving without the ball, spacing, reading the floor. And then also over dribbling. I mean, it drives coaches crazy, over dribbling the ball. So we do a lot of just making sure they learn how to play, spacing, reading the court, get off the ball. These are basic principles, but as Tony can contest, and I'm sure Dom and CJ, even more of the European game, spacing, the ball moves, specialists, winning ways like CJ doubled down on earlier. Can you win the game? Everybody worry about their stats. Winners, can you win the game? If that's screening, moving, boxing out, do your job. And I mean, I'm sure as you know as well, Mark, I mean, these are just winning ways. Get these kids to the next level.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, we've talked on almost every podcast the importance of the grassroots coach. They get the kid that if they're very new to basketball, they're green, or you may get someone that's been playing for years and they just don't know anything, right? So, yes, player development, skill development, those two things are massive. So, you guys are kind of touching on everything, and Tony told me about that. How the staff has been put together is very smart, and everybody has their roles. I know, LeRon, you're the main skills guy for the program. So I appreciate you touching about. Let's kind of dive into some Q&As. A lot of people hit me up. They're excited about this podcast, excited about the new hot team in town, so which is awesome. Croc, I'll start with you. Talk about your culture. We've asked every other AU program that's been on here, what is your culture and what you guys instill every day with your coaches and with your parents and with your athletes?
I think our culture is really just our approach to the game, how detailed we are, how we're going to be. It's going to be intense, high level. We just want to make sure that they're prepared the right way. And ultimately, our goal is to get these kids to the next level, like get them into college, period. And once we get them there, now we can help working on them to get with professionals or an agent or something like that, where we can help them in the long run. But the culture is just hard working, then high level. We're respectful. We make sure that all the kids, the coaches, you're not going to hear us talking crazy to the kids, call them out their names. We're going to correct kids, but we're also going to empower them and let them know the good things that they do as well. We're not just going to tear them down and have them go sit down and pout, and then they break down. You lose the kid. You know what I mean? So it's just it's the lifestyle that we are providing. It's going to be a collegiate professional type. Oh, Dom touched on that. CJ played pro. I played pro. It's what we're used to, and we don't have certain expectations. So people have to come with it when they come over. It's going to be new. It's going to be a different experience. It's not going to be like anything that they've done before. Every team has their own coach. We're not lining up three different teams, or one coach is trying to make all these different ones, and we want to really like zone in on the kids and our team. Like, I want to focus on just this group that I'm responsible for and give all my attention to them. So it's just the way we do everything, the way we practice, the way we train, all of that. That's just the culture.
Yeah, and it makes sense because if you look at your staff, why would you not go that route? That's what, like you said, it's what you guys know, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all about it. I mean, I think it's a need for San Antonio, and you guys are going all in, and you have the resources to do that. So that's great. There's some strategy to what you guys have got going on. It's been a long talks. It's been in the works for a few years. So this isn't something you just kind of put together. So it's a lot of thought process behind it, which I appreciate. And I think, Dom, you've been around a long time. You know what the city needs from 12 years ago. So you're bringing that to the equation. It's great stuff. CJ, a question for you is, what do you feel may be your toughest challenge when you're going to be working with youth basketball players? Because I know a lot of NBA coaches. I know some NBA players. I've coached so many NBA coaches, kids that are like, Mark, I can't deal with them. You deal with them. I can't deal with my kids. I know how to work with a pro. I don't know how to work with the youth, right? So what do you think your challenges will be with working with younger kids over at BTS?
The crazy thing is, like, that's the part that's most exciting to me.
Okay.
Selfishly, that's my test, right? How well do you know this game? Like you say you do. Like, how can you find ways to break this down? How can you find ways to cater to this kid's whatever? Because the only way I can get him moving to fix his weaknesses is to show him how good his strengths are. So I can get him to see, if we can add this, now what can we do? But I need to show him himself in totality. And that's with him and the team, because that's the biggest thing, right? And I think that's something we've lost a lot with the way things are now with basketball. It's very, how can I get myself on? Like, no matter where I go, whenever, if the team was good before I got there, how can I get myself on? And as you move up in this, and I'm sure Tony can say, like, in pro, and everybody can, teams they played on, at some point you got to be able to see how your coach see you, how your teammates see you, what this team need, no matter what you can do. And that's my biggest thing that I want to teach moving forward is a full vision, a total vision of yourself, the game, the team, and know how you can get yourself to what you see yourself as. Because nobody knows that but you. We see potential. We see what the team needs. We see how you play with this guy. How I don't know what you think. I don't know where you want to go. So I need you to have a clear vision on that so I can help you. And I have to pull that out of a kid. He can't tell me.
Interesting. Tony, you said this podcast is going to be different. You ain't lying. I'm learning a lot from that. That's good stuff, CJ. I'm looking forward to watching you coach as well and hear all the good things. LaRon, question for you. You're the skill development guy, player development. How do you go about making sure kids are getting a good balance of both? So we're getting, skill development individual, but also getting game reps. You kind of touched on a little bit, but what's your plan and your mindset with kids you're working on a skill based and also in practices? How are you going to balance both of those? Because they need both. You talked about it earlier. Kids are very robotic today, right? They're great in skill works. They can do stuff in cones, but put a defender in front of them, IQ stuff. So what's your goal with your program and just any kids you work with in the city to improve that?
With training, I think my brother had gave me a good key. My brother Lorenzo, he had just said, depending on certain groups, do a lot of more time drills and then makes. So it's not just shoot a certain amount of shots, time it and makes, because then you naturally start to breed them to move with a sense of urgency and to work under pressure. And just over the years, I feel like the earlier you can start that, the better. Of course, I'm not timing them at my 4, 5, 6 year olds. It's a lot different because they lose. It's like the world has completely ended versus my 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 year olds. That's a different level of sense of urgency, moving. Yes, it's fun, but now they're seeing it's a whole different level of competitive side to it. So I would say more so time in the drills, and then making it a certain amount of makes. And then I have portions of the drills where we might do it this way. And then I have it where it's a little bit freer. So just a lot of basic basketball things, but this is stuff that teach the game because, you know what I mean? If you just get out there, and I know most kids just want to scrimmage, I'm like, we're not going to do that. We'll dress it up 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and I kind of space it out. And we make it very detailed because I'm like, we have to make sure we are teaching them the game, not just, oh, y'all got to compete today.
Okay. Yeah. Great answer. I appreciate you touching on that. Yeah. I mean, kids, fortunately, not enough pickup games anymore. I know when you guys were probably growing up, gyms were open. No gyms open in San Antonio. I am having some ADs on here to ask how we can get the gyms open just to get kids in there and playing more. I just think kids are very robotic today, and it's not necessarily their fault. It's just kind of the way it is in San Antonio. They can't get in. I know someone had said like every rec center is open in Dallas, right? I know CJ, you said you're from Dallas.
I grew up in the rec center.
Exactly right.
It's the bus on purpose, so I would have to walk home.
There you go.
And I would call my parents when I got to the rec, and my dad would just pick me up on his way home from work. So I'd weasel out 4 hours of basketball every day. Like, and we talk about this though with the rec center thing, like with the game, right? Like right before the training thing took over, they were saying kids were playing too many games. And now you got kids that's only training and they can't understand where to place that stuff I'm giving you in training. And we were talking about the breeding of players. So now you training kids all the same way and telling them what to do, and they all got the same game. They all want to shoot a step back three. They all want to do a cross jab. They all want. I'm not saying these aren't skills you teach, but to be in your bag. But we need to play so I know where to put them. So I know what they do. I know or if I need to throw it away. Like it might not be for me in the game. It's good for me to work on. I know bigs that work on ball handling every day, but they will not bring that ball up the floor because that's not what I bring to the game.
So we talked about this earlier. I'll start with you, Dom, and then Croc, you can go next. Why do we only have one Division I kid right now in the 25 class? Because that worries me. I know it's a hard question to answer, but I believe we should have more. The girls pump out more every year. I know there's more scholarships on the girls' side, and I know there's less girls playing. So it could be a numbers game, but it's been like this for a long time. I mean, I talked to my guy today. It's getting always close to double digits for the girls every year. We can't even get like halfway there on the boys' side. What are your thoughts on that?
I think for me, I think it's just the fact that the one that's doing it right now, obviously, is just built a good team and foundation around himself and stayed true to. Obviously, I don't know him on a personal level, but I mean, just looking at what's around him, where he's always been in San Antonio, hasn't left to play in other cities. I think what can hinder a lot of kids growing up, kind of like you said, is what's more convenient. If it's I used to drive across town for a certain type of AU team or trainer or, guidance. Now it's like, well, let me just drive up the street. And I think the up the street right now is what's helping develop a lot of the kids. Because I think even a few years ago, just maybe only been no more than what, 4 in one year at one time, maybe when Jalen Crocker, Tony's younger brother, was playing. I know they had a pretty good class then. But yeah, I just think that's what it is. And I think there's just too many voices. I think there's a lot of different voices, a lot of different trainers, a lot of different programs, and it's hard for parents to understand which one's the right way. Because a lot of these parents, not to knock the good kids, some of the good kids come from parents that just never really even known the game itself. So I think when people kind of sniff that out, they go straight to the parent and they kind of sell false hope. And I think that's what's hurting. I think that's what's hurting. I think opportunity for the girls and guys, yeah, it could be a numbers thing, but I think opportunity's there. But it's just a matter of the right path and foundation in your circle that's going to help you get there. And I think that's what's kind of almost watering it down right now. I mean, I think we all kind of take a hit when it's just one D1 guy. And that's what, for me, it's whether it's D1, D2, D3, I just want there to be a stage of opportunity that's presented to the kids and they're taking advantage of it. And it's not, oh man, now I'm a senior and I've played on, 6, 7 different teams. I've had 6 or 7 different trainers, but I have one goal. Well, that comes from who's around you, and you got to kind of build that status. So, like I said, I think we'll get there, but yeah, just that I think that's what his path is because he's tight knit family around him. I think his father's been around him, and he's just kind of stayed on that same way. Hasn't really listened to maybe outside noise, and I think that's what for me. That's why I wanted to go younger and what I'm coaching because I want to be able to pour in early and kind of guide with what I can with the resources I have just on this podcast alone. So, like you said, grassroots and start young and see if I can help that out because starting younger is something that I feel like I can help build. And then with the resources I have around me, it's just going to be that much better.
No, I agree. I'm glad you said that because a lot of people will ask me like, well, I look at some high school kids, they're not ready. It's too late if we're talking about in high school, right? If you're a senior or junior and you're talking about why am I not D1, we should have been thinking about that, 4th, 5th grade, the foundation, right? It's
Right.
very, very small-minded, short-term kind of thought process thinking. So yeah, that's why grassroots is so important, right? I think a lot of us, when you see a kid in 4th or 5th grade, you're like, okay, they may have a chance, right? Let's see what they look like in 2 years, right? Ain't nobody looking at a sophomore and be like, well, let's hope they figure it out next year. That's too late, right? So
Mhm.
me personally, and I'm gonna start with 2 things. So when I see Kingston's the real deal, right? There's a gap. There's a big gap because he doesn't come around very often. But
Right.
when I look at San Antonio only getting 1 potentially D, how does that look for San Antonio, right? So they're like, yeah, Kingston's the guy. It stops there. Right? We're talking about San Antonio. So if you're talking about Dallas or Houston and they're like, yeah, Kingston's the guy, but you got nobody else. People talk about that stuff, man. They're talking about San Antonio. That bothers me because I'm like, no, we do have some players here. We do have good talent. But I think that's hurt us this year because the gap is really big from 1 to number 2. And I'm not going to dive into who's number 2 is. There's no one close to Kingston, right? So I think that's what hurts us this year as well, is that everyone's talking about Kingston, nobody else. So if you're in that class, it's hard to get recruited because everybody's going after that dude, or we're going after him. Then also, I think there's just too many teams at the high school level. I said this on the last one. We had 19 to 20 something teams go to an NBA Gasso. I'm sure, Dom, you were at that one in Dunkerville. I was at a ref camp. And I just kept seeing San Antonio teams when I'm walking to the gym. I'm like, yo, who are these teams? So I jump on the app. I'm like, there's no way we can have close to 200 kids at this tournament playing in the NBA division. I looked at the scores. We were getting thumped 30, 40. Then they end up in the bottom bracket, maybe get a couple of good games at the end. That's not good for San Antonio. That would not happen in Dallas or Houston. People would not allow it. People would not allow that. So that's what kind of bothers me a little bit is that if I've got a local team, I stay local. I'm good. There's levels to this stuff, right? If I don't have the coaching staff, I don't have the talent, my organization's not ready to go then just stay home. It's not helping the representation for San Antonio. So that I know back in the day, I know it's never going to happen, but there was 4 teams that would go to Vegas, go to all these big tournaments, Rohawks, Celtics, whatever they were. Everybody would come here because they would go beat them. They'd come back. That's actually happening at the grassroots level with Future. Like Lorenzo talked about it. His younger teams are going to Houston and Dallas, going to Arizona. They're beating those teams. The moment you do that, they want to play. We want to see you again, right? What are they gonna do? You come travel over here. That's where I think that if we can get something there at the grassroots level, be highly competitive, have left teams at the top, it should start to shrink when we get up to the 17U division. I think that's where we're at. That's my personal opinion. Croc, any thoughts on that?
It's a lot of things. Like you said, the basketball is saturated. They open up new schools every 2 years, so everybody can play basketball. So now the kids are misled. They think they're better than they are.
Yep.
So they got yes men in their corner telling them that they're this and they're that, and they're going to the league or they're going to Power Five schools and this, and then they don't they don't play hard. They don't compete. They don't when it gets tough. They don't want to like, yeah, I'm about to dig in and really lock in and make sure I do what I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? So here in the city, there's not a lot of opportunities where kids can get on a team and go get seen by these coaches where they want to go. So they're playing for teams. We got, like you said, a lot of teams that are going to these tournaments. Nobody's seeing them play. But if you take this top guy from each of these teams and they go to a tournament, they're a little bit better. So I just think that the reason that we don't have as many getting as many scholarships as maybe the girls side is just just the opportunity, the way that they play, like everything CJ I think mentioned about highlights and people want videos. Like if you can, a kid can go 2 for 17, and they got a clip with 2 clips and layups, and then them doing a jump ball, and then them high fiving somebody. They're happy.
Everybody famous.
You know what I mean? So it's just like I think people are content, and they think that they're at the level that they're not. So it's like, well, why we only got one kid got a scholarship right now? Well, that kid plays hard every possession, offensively and defensively. You know what I mean? He wants to win.
I
A lot
didn't.
of people say they want to do it, but when it gets tough and I'm tired, like they shut down. So I think that it's just more of a, man, like you said, starting them earlier, because by their sophomore year, you're not really potential anymore. So that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I agree. And also, even when they get when they get to sophomore, junior, the time it shrinks, right? And they get kind of desperate. I think now
Hmm.
they're not actually playing the way they're supposed. I see a lot of kids. I'm like, yo, you playing for a scholarship. You're not playing to win. You're not playing the right way. And I do say that, like that frustrates me when I watch high school basketball. I'm like, yeah, that kid couldn't care less if he wins or loses. He's just trying to get a highlight film and try to get that out to a college, and hopefully, yeah, you know where I'm going with that. So
They want to post so they can say I got a scholarship. My
Nobody,
third offer, my fourth offer. But where are you going?
yeah, right. Yeah.
everybody gets something now.
Where
Like
are
you
we
don't
going
have
though?
to. The work
No,
that had to be put in to get the notoriety does not have to be put in. So if I
Mm-mm.
get the notoriety without the work, why would I ever?
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
why.
Like happen, and then when it's time for that notoriety to actually pay for something, it don't actually transfer. It don't get to the, because now it's like, hey, what happened to? They don't understand either. A lot of letters go out. A lot of people, they just putting you. That's a just in case, so we can say we made contact with you. It's a lot of more work. That should give you a reason to work harder when you get the first couple letters, because now they looking. So now if I come see you 2 more times, and now I consistently see you not work hard, not get back, not communicate, mad every time I take, you'll never get another letter again. You think that just bought you in that's not a ticket. It's just we noticed you.
Mm-hmm.
That's that separation word. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to
No,
pop in my head over this time we've been talking. I think that's something that's important to teach, because like I said, from my experience, everything I've done, I am Mr. Basketball of Texas, McDonald's All-American, Jordan Classic, blase, 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 blase. I stepped in that locker room in the NBA. Every single guy in that locker room was that. Every single one. Probably and more. Went D1, went to a big school, went to Duke, went to North Carolina, and was all conference. He got more on his. He got that and more. So how do you separate? And it goes back to what I was talking about, that totality thing, seeing the game. Like we talk about these kids like this, whose parents is getting them that don't know the game, and their kids talented, they getting pulled into these situations, and like, because the kid has not been taught the game or to see the game a certain way, he don't know that he don't want to be there. He don't know that they playing wrong. He don't. That's why they get to him early enough, because he wasn't taught it at home. He just know they came and they gave him some shoes and he got notoriety. They said, we can do this for you. We can get you more notoriety. And that's the golden ticket right now. I can get you more eyes on you, more followers, more clicks, more, because they think that equates to, and it don't. The only thing that equates, the only thing that transfers is hours, times, makes, sprints, 6 a.m. wake, all of that. That's what equates. My favorite thing to tell kids that ask me things about my lifestyle is because of the way I live my life. Like when we was having runs still and I was working out, I was talking to guys, Tony equate for this at Warren. I was like, bro, if I'm still doing more than you as a retired NBA player, you don't want to. Like I asked you what you did today before we came to the run, and you told me, "Shoot, I took a nap, rolled over 8, and came over." I'm like, "Oh, you don't want to do nothing with this. This you just like it's cool, and that's fine." But like, I'm retired, and my habits are still rolled over into this. I'm still up at 6, and I work out at 7:30 and go shoot, and then we run in the evening. That's the respect I think it owes to be sharp. Like, imagine what you would feel like if you was really sharp, if you really put that time in. You think you nice now. And that's what I try to like. These kids can never be as confident as somebody that's put that type of work in, because that's what it really takes is the confidence. Basketball is heading into, last thing I'll say, is one of the most beautiful times it could be in, because there is this group right here. We some of the old school left in us. Like there's enough of it, and enough of the new school, and in that middle ground to connect. Enough of knowing what it really takes work wise, and understanding how to communicate that. And we're being handed the most athletic and skillful kids because of the resources they have right now. So like that missing part of the game that they don't have no more because they lacked in workouts, we have that. And that's why it's so important for us to be at the grassroots level, because now basketball can be pushed into a different stratosphere of more guys like us that's been in it, fed into that.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Dom, question for you. Should and can every kid play select basketball?
No, I don't. Both. I think no, not every kid should, and not every kid can. And the should part is more so for me. I think parents should know their kid and maybe test it, but that shouldn't be the type of talent level that you are. And that's not a knock. You know, some kids from when I've coached, they literally came to me and said, "I just want to be a high school varsity basketball player." And I've had kids I coached that done that, then they've gone off to other careers to do what they do, and those build lifelong relationships. But I think you have to understand what you have and what you're putting out. And again, for select basketball, which we're wanting to do, and that's the aura field that we're jumping into, I think you have to be evaluated and you have to be the ones putting in the work. Like what Jay and LaRon and Tony said, I think select basketball, when I've played against select teams, those are all kids that wake up early in the morning. They do things in the afternoon. They do things at night. They're running. They're waking up early. They're lifting. They're getting to an open run and stretching. So I don't think everybody should, and I don't think everybody can. But I don't want that to fear the ones in the city that think, okay, well, if I can, I got to go somewhere else. Stay here. There's a lot of good programs in the city. I mean, there's still ones that are just going elsewhere, and we want to keep those ones here. So I don't think everybody should, and I don't think everybody can. And that's not a knock. That's just understanding what level of basketball you're on and approaching those programs and wanting to be a part of them. So yeah, I don't think everybody can, and I don't think everybody should.
Oh, I agree with you, Dom. I appreciate you being honest. This is what the podcast about, real conversations. Here's the problem, right? San Antonio's growing. More kids are playing basketball. It's a good thing, right? Can't say it's not a bad thing. The issue is AAU is not feared anymore. I remember when I got here, the Rohawks were in the gym. We'd have like a little gold league before, which was recreational. And then the AAU tournament would come in after. Parents were like, what is that? Right? All these kids would walk in. They're taller, they're bigger. And what do y'all got? Oh, this is a AAU tournament. Okay. Yeah, we don't want any part of that, right? Like it was like now it's like, how many parents you talk to, like, my kid plays AAU. We played 3 games this week, and I'm like, I just watched you work out at our camp. You can't even do a dribble pull-up, and you talking about you just traveled all over the place, right? So I would never tell a kid you can't play basketball. I don't think any of you in this room would say that, right? But it's not feared anymore in San Antonio. There's levels to this stuff. People don't understand the levels. That's why I've talked about, and you've heard the other podcasts, I am high on this tier system. CYO, YMCA, I-9 Sports. They're good. They've outgrown that league. Now where do they go next? Well, there's nothing in between. You got to now jump into this AAU world and go play a future and get smacked by 50. And the parents are either looking at the coach like, what we get into, or the team is done, or they got to go back, or they quit, right? There's a need and a market for that in between. The elite, maybe 5% in San Antonio, 10% at tops, right? And then there's a very recreational that will never, ever probably play past middle school or even make the middle school team. You can't tell me that group that at 4th, 5th grade, if they just get a really good development, get really close games, it's recreational, that not some of them may come out of there and just we've seen it. You know, they may grow 5, 6 inches one summer, but like boom, sprout up and it happens, right? But I think what happens is that those kids in that middle, they just get lost in the shuffle, and then who knows what could have been potentially could have happened to them. So CJ, what do you think about a tier system and maybe your background? You've seen it in other states or something that possibly could help the grassroots and development of our youth basketball.
I think I agree with you that there's a space for it, that it makes sense. I think people are honest. So like it'll be hard to get it filled because people will never, well, my kid's not that. My kid's did. Like, did you see what he did to them? Like, yeah, what he did to them. Like what he did to them. Like, so think of like they was like I've seen parents come out of that league, like you said, they killing everybody in that little YMCA league or whatever, make the jump and get killed over there and still would just be like, well, the coach is bad. Or my kid problem, or this is not the problem. And like we go back to like this culture that we talking about. Like a couple days ago, University of Texas and Connecticut played in Austin. Trey and Liam, the two freshmen they talk about. 3 years ago, they were in the gym with me, Miles Turner, Julius Randle, Langston Calloway, working out with us 2 times a day. Like 3 years, so that means they're sophomores, freshmen. These are the kids they've been working like that in that gym with those pros, with that mix for 6, 7, 8 years by the time they got here. These are kids that you taking your kids out of YMCA to go play against. Like, that's what those kids are doing. If you're not ready to do that, if you're not honest about that, if your kid don't love it like that, if you love it more than your kid, y'all need to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all need to stay there. If he just want to play for fun and he like being the best without having to put the work in, and it's good for his spirit when he go to school and do other things, keep that. But if you don't really love it, you gotta leave it alone.
Oh, I agree.
Because it's gonna ball you up and throw you away, and then it's gonna do something to you on the inside that you wasn't supposed to get. You're just gonna run some of these dogs and killers, these people that this is their real food, and they trying to go eat, and you just here because you thought it was cool, and now we got a whole nother problem. We got kids that should have been there that don't come because they got scared of your story, or don't want to go to the gym, or don't want to do this because like it ain't worth it. Ain't nobody. We only got one D1 kid in the city. Why should I be working? They're not coming to watch us. No, they're not coming to watch you. They're not coming to watch y'all because y'all not working. There's no reason to. If he got seen, you can get seen. You just gotta separate.
Before we go to a quick hitters, I'll ask each of you, what are some solutions? And San Antonio, it's not in a bad space. We've heard both, right? This isn't a negative podcast. We've heard some good things, some bad things. We know the girl space a little bit better than boys. I think everyone's talking about it. That was the purpose I wanted to start this. So people are talking, we're having good conversations. I think people are trying to come together, work together. So what are some solutions? Croc, we'll start with you. What do you think some solutions are from any standpoint where San Antonio, what coaches, players, anybody listening can kind of take away from this?
That there's levels to basketball. Like whether you start young or old, whether your kid is CYO ready or AAU ready, like you gotta understand your level and like they said, be honest with it. So if you know you're not that good, don't come out here and complaining every day because you not on varsity or you on freshman and you feel like you should be this and you that, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do. It ain't gonna matter. Again, it's different knowing your level, being honest with yourself, it helps because if I know like, hey, all right, I know I'm not varsity right now, but I know I'm JV. Like I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna kill this. As to I should be on varsity, I'm a pout because I'm on JV. You know, so I just think that people being honest with themselves, knowing what they can do, their abilities, what they can do out there will help in the long run, and also it'll help like far as like you said, all the AAU people understand like, hey, our kids are not at this level. Why don't we just stay locally and do this so they can actually grow and have some type of competition where they're having fun as to they're going and they're getting beat by 30, 40 every game. They're like, I don't want to do this. This ain't fun. So I just think that it's just that honesty, knowing where you at.
Yeah, self-evaluation,
Yeah.
self-aware, not just kids. So yeah, good stuff. CJ, what do you think?
I'm on the same boat. I'm still on the honesty. I think the biggest thing, ask questions. Like everybody. You parents ask their kids questions, kids ask their parents, ask their coaches questions, ask questions. So because if you're the only one forming the answer, and if the parents never ask no questions to the coach, like you already uneducated. So like, especially if you had a staff. So this is also predicated on your staff. So let me take that back. Now, looking at our staff, people with a lot of experience from coaching and playing, sitting here, right? Like I want to ask them questions. So and I'm asking them questions because there's actual wisdom, actual experience, people that's been in actual trenches. So he can give me an actual answer. Now we can all be really honest. A lot of coaches can't be really honest because he don't know. He's just playing the numbers game. No disrespect to nobody, but it's not. It's about keeping this thing running to a certain extent. It's not all about that. And I have a unique view on it. I look at it like a trade. I look at it like the skill set and what you can put together, putting together a tool belt. I look at like you said, the levels. If I had a plumbing company, it's certain dudes I won't call for certain jobs because I know what kind of tool belt they got. I know what kind of tool belt my guys got. My job is to try to fill the tool belt up, but until we get there, let's be honest about it. If you need a wrench and you don't got it, and this level need a wrench, you go to LaRon, tell him you need a wrench. He'll make sure you have a wrench in a few weeks, and then you come back.
LaRon, same question to you. Solutions?
Aspect that we were saying is as well of you might not be ready for this level yet. Start here and build with it. I feel like a lot get, I can't do AAU. Well, okay. Or I'm just on JV, or make the best of where you at. My prime example, I transferred a few times and we was at an NAIA. Some of me and my boys and other guys. Nobody ever grew up was like we was gonna play NAIA. But what we said was we got 2 years left. Let's kick everybody butt and make them feel it while we here. Make the time count. So otherwise, look, what we doing? We gonna pout complain. We ain't losers. We not finna lose. So it's just that mindset. But same thing. 6th, 7th grade, the AAU. You might be not doing AAU 5th, 6th grade yet. Okay. Anybody know? Look, you need to be ready junior, senior year. Of course, there's steps, but if your kid's behind, you need to be putting in that work to be ready later. You might not be there yet. That's fine, but you got to be ready to put that work in. So just understanding, you are where you are, but that's not the determining factor of your whole reality. This is a stepping stone. So don't give up. Keep putting in that work, and that's not basketball. That's life.
Yeah, I just saw a post the other day about the guard whisperer trainer, one of the NBA guys. He talked about a CEO of a company that all he hires is ex-basketball players. To your point, because he knows, right? You know what athletes are about. Yep, exactly.
One
Yeah.
thing, LaRon sparked my memory. I didn't even think to share this part of my story. So I didn't play AAU until the summer before my senior year, and I was in the league out of high school. So I was a gym rat. I played as much as I could. Anytime it was an open court, I was on it. I shot. I worked on it, and it was like And then when I started hearing about these guys, and they let me off the leash, right? They let me. My dad kind of like waited till I was chomping at the bit. I was like, I heard about such and such. They said he doing this. That's when he kind of like was like, all right. And that's when I went to go play for Team Texas. And then, but the thing that it did for me was when I got put on the floor, it was nothing I didn't recognize. I had the chance to like really learn to love it. So, but it didn't matter no more. And that was what literally catapulted me into my career. Because I had so much confidence. It's like, if I got keys to the gym, I'll be fine.
It's an interesting story. I don't think kids love AAU as much as they used to. I think because they play too many games. So that's probably for another podcast, right? You play a game, you lose. I got a game in a couple hours. I'm all good, right? I just don't think it stings as much as it used to. Same question for you, Dom. Solutions? Anything different?
Yeah, I think to kind of take some of the kids' side is I think we need access. I think you said earlier that you might have some ADs coming on your podcast. Like you said earlier, I think CJ touched on it. He said there's so many rec centers and high school and middle schools availability to get in gyms that here there's not that. I mean, Gold's Gym, Rogers Ranch, not to take anything away from him, they just made their gym court a pickleball court.
Pickleball, baby. We got 4 up here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gold's Gym off of one of the Gold's Gyms off Bandera that I always went to, they made their gym a CrossFit. So I think on the kids side, that's a little bit of kind of inconvenience for them. It's not an excuse, but the access in the city to what maybe we all had growing up just isn't the same. So that's one thing. Another thing, those tough conversations. Parents have to have those tough conversations. Like CJ said, ask those questions. At our tryout, we had everybody was open to be able to ask questions. Nobody just did the tryout and left. People stuck around and talked and, answered questions and spoke individually or as a group or as a whole. And I think that's important. I think a lot of parents are uneducated. Let me reach out to the organizer of the program or the coach and have questions for them, because then you can really tell what their program about and what's their line of goal for your son or your daughter. So I think that would be my thing, is having the conversation, being real with yourself. The access is really limited access in the city to what we can get into the gym for. And that's all programs, I'm sure. And then, just having a plan. A lot of these parents, they'll bring your kid to you and just say, here. And it's like, well, what's your plan for your son? Obviously the end goal is where, a lot of these guys have played, but what is your plan to where we can tell you, okay, well, this is what we think the plan is for you. This is how we can help you. Yeah, I don't want to get long winded, but yeah, access, asking questions, having those tough conversations, I think will help turn the needle back to, what we all want it to be. Because at the end of the day, we just want San Antonio to be better at basketball. It's not, oh, we want to be better than that program or that. We're not looking at any program. We have a plan, we have a lane, and that's what we're staying in, and we're going to build that, here on our own.
Yeah, thanks for saying that last. A lot of people say that I'll say it, I shit on San Antonio. I don't. I just care about San Antonio. I'll be real. I've been here 20 years and I'm from Europe. You probably know this, Tony. You met a lot of blunt people over in Europe. I don't know any other way but to move, man, so
Yeah.
thanks for touching that. I agree. I think we all care about San Antonio. A lot of people care about San Antonio basketball. It's just a little sensitive subject. Go ahead, Tony.
One thing I wanted to say when he was saying the availability and the access, like it is tough. But here we go thinking about old school, new school, whatever. When I was playing, we were outside.
Yeah.
Like there was no excuse like I can't get in the gym. No, I was at the elementary school doing dribble pull-ups to my own shot clock in my head. Like I was out there having a game by myself within the game. I didn't need a gym. I didn't need other people. I literally will ride my bike or walk down Reed Road. We would ride our bike miles to the school after school every day. And who? All of us. Like the reason why we were so good in high school, we literally hung out all the time. We practiced at school together. After school, we met up at the courts and we played basketball together. We played video games together. We were close. We were brothers. Like, and that happened outside. I didn't need to be like, hey, you got a gym? Can we go this? Nah, let's go outside. It's hot. Yeah, it's hot. I know. It's sun beaming. I know. But we out here. Are you coming or not? So I think that also kids is they sheltered. They're like, oh, it's hot. Don't go outside. Like, figure it out. Figure it out.
The sun
Go
been up
outside.
all day.
It's funny you said so. I have a good doctor friend that said, and I'm actually going to probably have him on about just prevention because so many kids are getting hurt, like ACL tears, girls, boys, right? He said because they don't know how to fall anymore because they don't play outside when they're young. You just said it, right? We're playing on concrete, getting fouled in the yard. I'm on my BMX bike in England. Like you just figure out how to fall over and your body just, kind of adapts to it. And kids ain't doing that no more. Ain't no way kids are out there playing pickup on their doing BMX bike, being just stupid outside. They don't do it anymore. And I'm just going to play
each other.
Say it again.
They don't have each other. Like Tony was talking about, we did everything together. Now I don't have to see you to play video games. I don't have to see you to talk to you. I don't have to so I don't got to come meet you. I don't have to go outside if I really want to hang out with my friends. I got my phone, my headset to my game. I got Instagram. I got No, I'm not trying to sound like an old head and knock all that. I'm just saying that's the difference.
Yeah.
Like the connection that we got from that we wanted, we had to go get it. I don't have to leave this chair. That's another reason why they all hurt, because they hips bad, and they back bad, they posture bad. They sit all day and they don't be going nowhere.
Yeah, that's a great point, though. Just that there's no connection right anymore. You can do everything from the house. That's crazy. Mike, great stuff. I'll add those solutions at the end. All right. So some quick hitters to close. NBA or college?
NBA.
College.
3-1. Zone or man?
Man.
Full court.
So why we got so much zone in San Antonio? All right, just throw it out there.
We wasn't coaching yet.
Okay, got it. I knew that was coming. All right, hooping shoes, Kobe's or Jordans?
Kobe's.
Okay. Extra pass or ISO?
Extra pass.
I don't believe you.
Extra pass.
If you.
I don't believe any of y'all. Y'all are talking as coaches.
Because that's
seen y'all play, man.
game.
Maybe Dom.
Time of game situation. Who am I passing it to?
Oh man, we
ain't
got all that.
We can throw into that.
It's good.
Hey,
It's
I'm
good for
always
teaching.
gonna make the right play.
We skeeting for the right play though.
I've
We
seen
right
all
play,
three
right.
of you play. Dom is the pass guy. Y'all are shooting that thing.
Yeah, I was letting it go.
But-
I'm saying, but
but-
you teaching.
Yeah, you're in your
But
coaching mode.
I also know the dude that I was passing to didn't shoot better than me. So that's a whole
Okay, fair statement. All right, next one: IQ or athleticism?
IQ.
IQ.
Okay, good. Last one. Go movie. He got game or above the rim?
Ooh,
Somebody go with me. No one has gone with me.
he got game.
Dang it.
I'm gonna go above the rim.
Thank you, my guy.
Above the
That's
rim.
hard.
Yes. Come on, LeRon. We need a 3-1. Get CJ out of here.
You got game.
I break.
Raise.
I break. I break the tie. 3-2. Let's go. So I
There
appreciate
we
that.
go.
All right.
Good.
So, fellas, I appreciate you all jumping on. I know it wasn't easy to get all four of you on. This has been a fun podcast. And Croc, thanks for like putting this together and saying, hey, nope, I want my crew on, and this is
Yeah.
what we're going to do. You kind of strong arm me, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I love it. So,
Hey,
go ahead.
we just wanted to do something different. Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, it's been fun. So I'm gonna go over some real quick solutions that we went just for the listeners. So we talked, and again, every solution list we've had from every guest, they're doable, they're simple. We just got to put the work. That's it. We just got to get this work to get it done. So we've talked about like self-awareness from players and parents, just being self-aware of themselves, where to know your level, right? Ask questions with credible resources, honest conversations, trust the work and enjoy the journey, right? Because like some of y'all said, like you're not a varsity player right now. That's okay. Where you're at right now, just dive into that 100%. You never know where it'll take you. More access to open gyms. We're working on that, Dom. So I'll let you know how that goes, right? We talked about having tough and real conversations and then having a plan. I like this one with the player internally at home and externally with your coaching, right? So like you said, hey, drop your kid off. He's all yours. Well, no, we got to be unified together, right? Everyone's got to be on the same page for that kid. So these are really great solutions. I appreciate, you guys hopping on. What a great coaching staff. I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I mean, I've always talked about San Antonio has too many teams, but I don't think this falls into that, right? I'm excited about you guys have kind of stopped playing. Now you're fully focused on giving back to the youth. A lot of wealth on here. So I'm excited to see where your training and your teams go. Appreciate you all coming on, and let's see what happens with San Antonio. And all of you guys take care. Thank you for listening to the Dropping Dimes podcast. Make sure to go follow us on IG at Dropping Dimes Pod. Remember, each Friday we'll be dropping a new episode. So hit the follow and bell notification buttons to never miss any content. Let's get better together. We out.